In today's fast-paced world, we find ourselves bombarded with endless choices, responsibilities, and distractions. From managing work pressures to maintaining personal relationships, life often feels overwhelming. Yet, in the midst of this chaos, many of us long for a sense of inner peace, a quiet space where we can breathe, reflect, and feel whole. This yearning is not new. For thousands of years, humans have searched for meaning and tranquility. The teachings of the Buddha offer timeless wisdom, reminding us that the key to peace lies not in acquiring more, but in letting go. Letting go of our attachments, fears, and desires is the path to true freedom and joy. Today, I'd like to share a story that beautifully illustrates this principle. It is a tale of transformation, of how one man found liberation by relinquishing what he thought he needed most. As you listen, allow yourself to reflect on what this story means for your life. What might you be holding on to that is preventing you from finding peace? Once upon a time, in a small village nestled deep within the mountains, there lived a humble man. For simplicity, let us call him the villager. He was born into poverty and knew the harsh realities of life from an early age. Every day, as the sun rose, he would head to the fields to toil tirelessly until nightfall. Yet, despite his hard work, his home remained modest, and his meals were sparse. But the villager had a dream that kept him going through even the most grueling days. He wanted to rise above his circumstances, to find wealth and comfort not just for himself, but for his entire village. His vision of a better life was his guiding star, and he clung to it fiercely. One fateful evening, as he returned home from the fields, the villager stumbled upon an old, dusty jar hidden beneath a tree. Curious, he opened it, and to his amazement, it was filled with glittering jewels. His heart raced with excitement. Finally, his dream could become a reality. He carefully carried the jar home, hiding it where no one could find it. At first, the jewels brought him immense joy. He imagined all the ways his life would improve. Yet, as days turned into weeks, his excitement gave way to worry. He became consumed by the fear that someone might discover his treasure. Every sound, every shadow, filled him with dread. To protect the jewels, he isolated himself from friends and family. He stopped greeting neighbors with his usual warmth and spent his nights keeping watch over the jar. Slowly but surely, his treasure became a burden, weighing heavily on his heart. The villagers noticed the change. The once cheerful man was now distant and paranoid. Even his family felt the strain as he withdrew from them emotionally. The villager could sense his own unhappiness, but he convinced himself that the jewels were worth the sacrifice. They were, after all, the key to his dream. One day, a wandering monk arrived in the village. This monk, known for his serene demeanor and wise counsel, often traveled from place to place, sharing the teachings of the Buddha. When the villager heard of the monk, he hesitated but eventually decided to seek his advice. The villager poured out his heart, confessing his fear, loneliness, and the overwhelming weight of his secret. The monk listened intently, his eyes kind and understanding. After a long pause, he spoke. The Buddha teaches that attachment is the root of suffering, the monk said. When we cling to things, be it wealth, relationships, or even ideas, we bind ourselves with invisible chains. True freedom comes not from possessing, but from letting go. The villager was taken aback. Letting go of the jewels? It seemed unthinkable. They were his future, his hope. Yet, deep down, he recognized the truth in the monk's words. The jewels had brought him nothing but anxiety and misery. The monk continued, letting go is not easy. It requires courage. But when you release what you hold on so tightly, you make space for something greater: peace, joy, and freedom. That night, the villager sat with the jar of jewels, his mind racing. He thought about the life he had envisioned and the man he had become. Finally, as dawn broke, he made a decision. He carried the jar to the edge of a river, a place where he had always found solace as a child. With trembling hands, he cast the jar into the water. The jewels sparkled briefly in the sunlight before sinking out of sight. As they disappeared, the villager felt a weight lift from his chest. For the first time in months, he could breathe deeply. Returning to the villager began to rebuild his life. He repaired broken relationships with family and friends, rediscovering the joy of connection and community. Without the constant fear of losing his treasure, he found he could focus on the simple pleasures of life: the warmth of the sun, the laughter of children, the satisfaction of honest work. The villager's transformation inspired others. His courage to let go became a symbol of hope for the entire community. People began to reflect on their own lives, questioning what they were holding on to and what they might gain by letting go. Years later, the villager met the monk again. He thanked him for his guidance and shared how his life had changed. The monk smiled and said, "The jewels you gave up were not your true treasure. The peace and freedom you found, that is your real wealth. Share it with others, and your riches will only grow." As the villager's story teaches us, letting go is not about loss, it is about gain. When we release our attachments, we create room for growth, happiness, and true fulfillment. In a world where we are encouraged to accumulate more possessions, more achievements, more recognition, Buddhist wisdom reminds us of the power of simplicity and surrender. So, I ask you, what are you holding on to that might be holding you back? Is it a fear, a grudge, or perhaps an unfulfilled desire? Whatever it is, know that you have the strength to let it go. Take that first step, and you may discover a freedom you never imagined. Remember, the journey to inner peace begins with one act of courage: the courage to let go. Thank you for joining me today, and may you find your own path to peace and happiness. If you enjoyed this story and its lessons, please like, comment, and subscribe for more insights inspired by Buddhist teachings. Let's walk this path together.